Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Tonight, inshallah, we want to spend some time learning from Imam Sajjad, salamullahi alayh. We want to talk a little bit about his qiyam, his jihad. We want to see the strategies that he employed to defeat the enemies of Allah at his time. And we want to learn those principles so that when it comes time for us to play our role, we also, like Imam Sajjad, are able to do our responsibility. And it's good for us to remember these victories that Allah granted us at the hands of Imam Sajjad. The reason that it's so good for us to remember these is that Allah's instruction for us in the Holy Quran, He tells us, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. When it comes to the blessings of Allah, proclaim those blessings. Why? What happens is, there are things that happen. If you are a revolutionary movement, working for the coming of the Imam, there are times, events that happen that shake people. People do get nervous. But when you go over and make sure that they don't only know, and they haven't only heard about the defeats, but they've also heard of Allah's assistance, Allah's help. When people see that we do our part and Allah does His, that gives the hearts ease, they get calm, they're sure of the path, they know that Allah's promise is true. So for us, when we're recounting these brave steps of the Imam, we're looking for that inspiration. So inshallah we can do something similar. What happens is our Imam, after the advent of Karbala, had two choices. One choice was to take those superficial emotions of the people. Because remember, and we'll talk about this later, when the Imam would give those fiery lectures in Sham, in Kufa, other places, it created revolution. People were furious. People couldn't believe it. They didn't know who the Ahlul Bayt were. But either he could take those superficial emotions and whip the people up and start a premature war with Bani Umayyah. The problem with starting a premature war was this: even if the Imam was able to be successful and he was able to topple Bani Umayyah, he wouldn't have been able to continue his work. He didn't have the people. Even if he was successful, he wouldn't have been able to do what's right. The Ahlul Bayt would have lost, but this time when the Tawaghit came back, there wouldn't have been any opposition. There was another option for the Imam. What the Imam needed to do was to take those emotions, that feeling, that passion in the hearts of the believers, and transform that into resistance. Something that would be long-term, that would produce results. So what he did was he harnessed the emotions, took them and then turned them into that long-term muqawama. How did he do that? We'll talk about it. This way he has some other missions too. One, I've got to save the true believers who are alive still. I don't want all of those to go. I want to keep them here. I want to reteach the people Islam. We'll talk about how he did it. In addition to that, then my long-term work, which is going to give me the results that I need, it's going to produce its results. We learn from a hadith of Ahlul Bayt at the time of Imam Sadiq. So I'm going to do part of my mission. If the people do their responsibilities at the time of the sixth Imam, enough work will be done that Imam Sadiq can be the Qa'im, and then we'll establish the kingdom of God on the earth. So now what did the Imam do? I mentioned before that the Imams have two jobs. Every Imam has two jobs. One job of the Imam is to protect Islam from being misinterpreted, as we call it in Farsi, tahrif, where you take Islamic teachings and you transform those, you change those. So instead of it being liberating, Instead of it being something that makes you a giant killer, able to take on Tawagheet, to rescue the world, it's a religion that puts you to sleep. So you have to reteach Islam, reteach our ideology. Every Imam had this job, and he's no different. Teach the people the jurisprudence, how Islam applies. He had to teach all of them that. In addition to that, he had another mission, which was he knew that just book knowledge isn't enough to save people. How many people that you and I know, perhaps even ourselves, we have a lot of book knowledge about things. What are we lacking? Motivation. Motivation. So the Imam has to go over and he has to do this. How? One example of how the Imam did this was Sahifa Sajjadiyah. That masterpiece. The Imam is resisting through dua. I have to reteach the people Islam. What does it mean to be a human being? What about God? Everything. Parents. Like if you look at that, there are so many beautiful. On a daily basis, what should I be asking from God? In the morning, how should I be speaking to God? What is the position of Ahlul Bayt? Where? Sahifa Sajjadiyah. So I'm reteaching the people their deen. In addition to that, motivation. The beautiful thing about reading those du'as is when you read them, paying attention to them. You see who you should be as a human being. The motivation is created when you ask Allah for those things. The Imam purified the people through dua. So the Imam is now resisting in this way. Teaching the people, re-educating the people, Islam as is, the Tawagheet as are. The mission, the cause, where we're going, the Imam is making sure he's taking care of these things. Even though, as I said yesterday, the situation that our Imam is in is one where the repression is unprecedented. I'm going to mention a little bit more the historical facts. How bad was it? Meaning if you and I, we hear Imam Sajjad, under these kind of circumstances, he could resist. What excuse is there for anyone else under better circumstances than the Imam? I mentioned yesterday the idea that at first, if your name was Shi'i, they could hunt you down. Imam Sajjad is the son of the enemy of the state, and you're taking on a powerful state. So what did the Imam do? The other thing, the other mission that the Imam had was that he had to make sure that the blood that was shed in Karbala mattered. He had to immortalize Karbala. Karbala, Imam Hussein, his qiyam was something that Muslims, ila yawm al-qiyamah, they're all supposed to be learning from this. They're all supposed to be getting inspiration from this. When they hear this story, they are supposed to be able to stand up against the oppressor no matter who they are.